Hi, Fairview students. This is Mrs. Palm, your assistant principal. I have some important information here in this video slideshow. It will take place of your class meetings that we typically do at the beginning of each year, both for effectiveness as well as to enhance our mitigation efforts here at Fairview. So we're not all sitting in one auditorium together. So we're going to be doing this in our tutorial or homeroom. The first thing I'd like to talk about is some handbook reminders. Attendance and participation in activities. Students who want to participate in extracurricular activities, practices, um, you need to be here during the school day. If you leave prior to 2:58, you must have a valid excuse signed by a medical professional, and it has to be submitted that same day. If you do not arrive to school by 9 a.m., you will not be permitted to participate in your extracurricular activity. The only exceptions we have is if you have that medical excuse, but even if you do have that medical excuse, you do need to complete at least a half a day of school. Mrs. Lampy is our attendance secretary in the office. She knows those rules. If you have any questions, you can stop in and ask Mrs. Lampy or any of your administrators, and we'll be able to help you with that. The next item from our student handbook reminders is cheating and plagiarism. We want to make sure that you're completing your best work. That's why we're here. We're here to learn and to know what you know, not what you get from the internet, not your friends' work, but what you know. So you need to make sure you're submitting work that is your own. Should you submit work that is not your own? There are different levels of discipline for that. Level 1 and level 2 both result in a 0 credit for the assignment. And that can drastically bring down your grade depending on what type of assignment it is. Allowing one's essay, lab report, assignment, test answers to be copied by another student is the definition of cheating or plagiarism. This includes the sharing of digital folders and or documents, taking pictures of your assignments and sharing them with your friends, any of those methods that you're sharing your answers with somebody else, or you're getting those answers from an unauthorized source. Dress code is something we really need to talk about, especially as the weather is nice here. Just remember, you are to dress for learning. So you should wear clothing that is well suited for a school environment. Your clothing needs to be not transparent or mesh. Your clothing should cover your entire torso, your midriff, and the back side of your back there. We have a lot of students crop tops and rolling up tops with higher pants is in fashion right now. Unfortunately, those are not appropriate for school, and we will ask you to change. If we have to ask you to change, we record that in the office. We ask you to change. If you don't have something, the nurse can provide something temporarily for the day. And then if it's reoccurring, it becomes a disciplinary infraction. Remember, you're here to learn, and we have to follow these student handbook requirements for a safe learning environment. Remember, tops should have sleeves, so we shouldn't have tank tops of any kind worn on either gender. Students should not wear hats or hoods. That's a few different reasons for that, but most importantly is security, so we can see who's in the building. Clothing, drawings, tattoos, and accessories that display or promote negative messages will not be permitted. These could include drug, gang, weapon, alcohol, or tobacco-related information, stereotypes, sexual innuendos, offensive words, or graphics. If you have any of those, you'll be asked to change again, and disciplinary infraction could follow. All clothing decisions are at the discretion of the administration. Your teachers are going to help monitor this, and we're going to log that in the office so we know when those infractions are happening. So if we have students who need those constant reminders, discipline action will follow. So please make sure that your entire torso and your shoulders are covered. You should be able to raise your hands up like you're writing on a marker board. Like in math class, if you go up to do a problem on the board, you should be able to raise your hands and we should not be able to see any part of the torso. Communication is our next topic to talk about. Schoology is where all of that communication is going to come from. We have centralized a lot of our communication. We have made it so that it's a little bit easier to navigate and click through. So you're going to use Schoology for your grades, your calendars, your assignments, for your classes. You also will use Schoology for announcements for your classes, but also for school announcements. You should all be enrolled in your class of, depending on your graduating class. So if you're graduating this year, you're going to be part of that class of 2022. Make sure you're a part of that, because if you're not, you're missing really important information that is shared through that. You all have a Google email through Fairview, and we need you to check that daily. Sometimes your guidance counselors or administration or teachers will send you an email to communicate. So please make sure you're checking that daily for us. There might not be anything on a daily basis, but we want to make sure that you're checking it. The next item is the safe to say something. This is a system that allows for one or two-way anonymous encrypted communications. If you see something that you feel like needs reported and you want to stay anonymous, you can use this to report those items. If there's an emergency, you always want to call 911 or tell an adult. But if it's something that you feel like is not right, if your bells are going off that it's not right, that's safe to say something, is anonymous, and we can get some help that way. Tutorial, you've all been in school for about a week or a little bit more. So tutorial, you are aware, rotates. So on Monday, you will go to first period during that tutorial time. Tuesday, you will go to second period. Wednesday to third period. Thursday to fourth period. And Friday is when you will go to homeroom. Those might change a little bit, like they did the week of Labor Day, the first week of school, but for the most part, they will stay the same. So you are expected to be in those classes during your tutorial period. Your teachers should be taking attendance. They don't submit that formally, but if you are not there, they will write an email or they will call down to the office. So we need to make sure we know where you are at all times. In order to leave tutorial, you should have a Smart Pass already created from a teacher, or you have created a Smart Pass for a teacher that your teacher you're going to see has approved, and that is really important. If you don't have a Smart Pass from a teacher or a Smart Pass approved to go see a teacher, you may not leave your tutorial. And we really need everyone to be on board with that. Your tutorial is where you are supposed to be. And if we need to find you, if we need you for something, we need you to be there in your tutorial. During cafeteria and lunch, many of you know to use the restroom now. You no longer have restrooms right in the cafeteria itself. You have to leave the cafeteria to use the restroom. So you will be guided by one of the lunch monitors to create a Smart Pass to use the restroom. You'll check back in with the lunch monitor when you return. Other than that, we really aren't going anywhere else during our lunch period. Food stays in the cafeteria. We're not going anywhere else. Please make sure we help out our staff in the cafeteria by cleaning up after yourselves. If you drop something on the way to the trash or if you leave something on the table, please make sure you take care of it because they take great care of us and we need to also take great care of them. Your phones, you're allowed to have your phone during tutorial, during lunch, tutorial with teacher permission. If your teacher is doing an extension activity or reteaching, or your teacher is engaged in the subject area, phones should still be away. If your teacher doesn't have anything additional for that tutorial, it is your teacher's discretion whether they'd like you to use the phones or not. During lunch, you may have your phone, and then specific classroom rules will apply during your classroom. The rule of thumb is you're not using it during any classes. There may be some classes that you utilize your cell phone for an activity, and that would be okay. Otherwise, your phones should be off. They should be put away. The teachers in the classrooms shouldn't see your phone during that instructional time. If your phone is turned into the office because you're misusing your phone during instructional time, it will stay in the office overnight and you can collect it the next day, or it must be picked up by an adult. If you have a private call to make, you need to call mom, you need to call dad, you need to get a ride home, something's changed with a sporting event. There's so many different reasons. You need to go to the doctor, you need to call the doctor. Um, we understand those items happen during the school day. If you simply come to the office and explain that you need to make a personal phone call, we're happy to have you make those phone calls, but we're not going to do that in the hallway or the lunchroom. We're going to make sure you're in a place that would be allowed. E-cigarettes and tobacco is absolutely not allowed on campus. Per our PA tobacco policy, we are a tobacco-free campus. It's not allowed to be anywhere on our campus. So if we find any kind of tobacco or e-cigarettes on your person, if we know that you've been using them, that goes right to the district justice. That's kind of out of our hands. You get a $50 fine if it's your first infraction. And then there could be more depending on what the district justice decides is right for your punishment. So keep that in mind. It's out of our hands when we see it, when we know about it, when it's being used. We turn that right over to the district justice to take care of that. Freshmen and new students, there's something called class dues. In lieu of any kind of fundraising, we have each student donate $30 total, and that covers for your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year. Dues go towards graduation extras, prom, baccalaureate, and ultimately this is so you don't have to fundraise. You don't have to sell Yankee candles or chocolate. We just ask for that $30 up front, and then you're able to do those activities. And you'll make checks payable to the whatever class you will graduate. So seniors, you've already paid yours, but it would be, for example, class of 2022. Safety in the school building is super important. Officer Raz is our safety officer. He will ultimately, with our leadership team, make all of the rules and get those out and make sure that everything is being enforced. If you have any questions about safety, we're always open to talking about those. But the main safety that students need to be concerned about is not bringing anything dangerous to school. That's not allowed, but also securing our doors and not letting other students in the building. If you see students leaving the building, tell an adult. Because that's really the most important thing. We need to make sure that our perimeter of our campus is secure and we're not letting in anyone that shouldn't be let in. And all visitors and all students who are leaving and coming and going to and from the building, they check in through the office. So if you see somebody in the hallway that you don't recognize, it's always best to tell an adult. But Officer Raz will have more information about safety in our schools. And the last thing I want to talk about is student support services, our guidance department. We have two amazing counselors, guidance counselors. They are divided by alphabet. So the first part of the alphabet will be with Mrs. Jensen and the second part with Mrs. Volusius. They're both wonderful. Ms. Lybrook is our guidance secretary. If you need anything, stop in guidance, send your guidance counselor emails. We're here to support you. and to help you through your high school career. We also have something called the refocus room that relates to student support services. Mrs. Enterline and the famous Maggie are in the refocus room. They're there also to help if you're enrolled in online learning, if you need academic support. You know, there's a lot of other things that Mrs. Enterline does there to make sure our students feel supported. Also in student support, we have Nurse Carrie. Carrie Roach is our new nurse this year. So if you're ever feeling ill or you need to see the nurse for something, Nurse Carrie has been wonderful. She's new to our school this year. And if you haven't met her yet, make sure you stop by and say hello. I think that's all I have for our presentation. If you have questions, ask your teachers, stop by the office, ask the office. Again, we're here to support you. We're here to make your time here at Fairview High School the best 4 years of your life before you step into the next stage of your life. So we're here to support you. Let us know how we can do that. And if you have any questions, stop by. Have a good day.